happy ending is that you're here. And unfortunately, the subject matter is as happy as the notion you're here with us. Let me introduce you talking to Michael Klare. He's the author of a dozen books on the U.S. military policy, national peace, global arms race. When we say global, he's a professor of peace and world security studies at Hampshire College in Amherst, Massachusetts, author of Hormuz Mania, Why Closure of the Strait of Hormuz Ignite War, Global Depression, author of the upcoming book, What's Left, and talk about that. And he also serves on the board of the Arms Control Association. And Mike, welcome you, our adjunct to the GoHarrison radio show here in Los Angeles, and glad you're aboard.
Well, I'm very happy to get here. I'm very sorry about technical issues.
Well, you know, it's impossible these days not to feel like a technical Luddite because there are so many competing technical things out there that we're all supposed to be able to comply with, and it's absolutely impossible. So it's a wonder that we can even use a phone anymore.
Well, appreciate your thoughtfulness. Anyway, let's get to the subject matter.
Let's do that. Gas prices, up, down, up, down. Let's talk scarcity of other elements like lithium, rare earths, land, all the stuff. The Chinese seem to have a fairly dynamic grasp of these things we call minerals, things that we ultimately need our computers, flashlights, our iPhones. There are military interpretations quietly going on in the background, whether it's Taiwan or even in the waters that hang off Vietnam, places like that. I think most don't really understand the global perspective here.
Well, thank you. What I argue in my book, The Race for What's Left, is that everything we depend on from an industrial civilization, everything is running out. Now, specifically what I'm running out, I mean the things easy to reach, the oil fields, the coal mines, the iron mines, all that we depend on now disappear very rapidly. So that doesn't mean start disappearing. Anything easy is disappearing. So now we're going to be dependent on the very last reserves, and it's going to be very tough to get a hold of, and very dangerous, environmentally dangerous, and costly, and possibly leading to conflict.
You, Michael. I have for the last, it's not actually a sort of question, it's more of a statement, but I would love your reaction. For the last 3 years, I've been doing a daily 60-second environmental feature, Think Green, which is just, environmental report. 3 years ago, it was kind of hip, kind of groovy. People were open to green. Now, the F word at people is the most inhospitable environment to talk about the environment, and that means on regular commercial radio. And to the point where I'm just going to stop doing it, it's a major waste of time, yet the rest of the people of Earth are really freaked out about the environment and battening down the hatches. Shifts of people are relocating in Africa. Europeans are freaked out. The ski resorts are closing in Switzerland permanently because the glaciers have fully receded. And we have massive monster tornadoes here, and yet it's like, I don't want to hear about the environment. It's a hoax. Where's Fox News when I need it? You must be dealing with this. You're trying to talk about real events, and this is the mindset right now.
Well, I understand, and I hear it myself quite a bit, but I think it's totally honest. It's like people being told that they have cancer. You want to go into denial about it, and that's what's happening right now. People want it, and when people thought smoking was going to cause cancer, at first everybody opposed that notion. We're in total denial about it. That's what we're having today. Well, I think most people understand that global warming is a real threat and that it's going to change our lives, but they don't want to make the changes necessary to deal with that. So you go into denial, you pretend it's not going to happen, and you attack people who are warning you about it.
Yeah, I think even more, time to buy a Hummer, really fill it up with gas, really live that life you've always wanted, as though doing the opposite of what you should do suddenly hours, the bad news goes away. I know it's bizarre. It's paradox.
Well, it's addictive behavior. This is totally clinically. One who made this notion, George talked about our addiction to oil.
And he would know.
Yeah, he would know.
Some vodka, he really knows.
Yeah. So this is addictive behavior when you're just know that you have to kick the habit. You just know your life depends on it. It's just that's the point today.
Let me reintroduce you, Michael, for people just joining us. We're talking to Michael Klare. He's author of nearly a dozen books on U.S. military policy, on the global arms race, international peace and security. He's attending the Hampshire College in Amherst to how this stuff all fits together and the larger picture. You and I, if we watch Wolf Blitzkrieg or anything else, we get wonderful little snapshots stage, and then these snapshots go away of the ickiness out there, and we get a beautiful car commercial, and everything is fine. But I would suggest there is major agitation going on in the globe, much greater than Mildred in Milwaukee possibly imagine.
Yes, no, that's absolutely right. I sense the same thing. People are becoming well of the impact of climate on food production, in particular when you have droughts as intense as they've been, and people can grow the food they need. It affects them directly, and there's been quite a bit of upset, and this leads to higher food prices, and higher food prices are principal causes of the Arab Spring and all the violence we've seen since then. So you're absolutely right about all that.
Let me ask you a question about that, because the official story that we're all told the reason for Arab Spring is that, you know, the wonderful democracy that we practice here, wonderful democracy, it's never has Earth known it with the gorgeousness, beauty, and equality that we practice it here. Somehow it metastasized to the other side of Earth, and all woke up out of their Neanderthal, Hespigilus, knuckle-walking, Australopithecine stupor, and woke up to the notion of American democracy, upset the apple cart, which was literal in that case in some countries, and poof. Somebody was...
Well, I like the way you put all of this. What they primarily feel in those countries is that the United States all these years, but stuffed down their throat a dictatorship like Hosni Mubarak and the other dictatorships, and that basically we're guilty of hypocrisy. But they say you it's a good line about democracy, but you gave us dictators.
Yeah, and we see that historically when we look at Iran back in the late 1950s. They voted in a democratic leader, democracy type, through democracy, voted in a leader who did have, to whatever degree, an interest in having some level of plebiscite so that you could have some participatory activity in Iran, including some decisions by the people of where the oil resources should go. And it seems to me that geopolitically, the last thing that the business interests in this country, my country, we came over in 1645, the last thing we want is actual democracy when it comes to mineral rights, oil, uranium, and the rest. Because what happens when a group of people get together and vote? What's the first thing they want is get the fuck out.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yes, well, I totally agree. The primary focus of American foreign policy, as I see it, since World War II, has been to gain control over oil fields. And that was the theme of one of my books called Blood and Oil.
Harrison, with you, we are talking to Michael Klare. He's author of nearly a dozen books on U.S. military policy, on international peace, security, the global arms race, author of Hormuz Mania that he just mentioned, why closure of the Strait of Hormuz could ignite a war and global depression, author of the upcoming book, The Race for What's Left. I'm going to get a website for you. He serves on the board of the Arms Control Association, which is armscontrol.org. One word, armscontrol.org. KPFK.org, and he's a guy who pays full attention. And I'm going to ask him in just a moment about why people assume that intellectuals are somehow liberal. It's deeper than that. It's like if you're actually paying attention to data, some of it might be prickly and icky, and you want to go into denial. And I think we talked about that a little earlier on as the greater explanation, is that if you're actually aware and self-aware, much as my ancestors in his neck of the woods on the eastern shore of Maryland became Quakers in the 1700s and got rid of slaves, because as a Quaker, you spend a lot of time looking inside of you, and it's really hard to enslave somebody when you're meditating. And that's kind of what you do, Professor Klare, is you pay attention to the outside and the inside simultaneously and figure out how it all fits together. And not all of it is going to be pretty. And when it's not pretty, some people just would like to label you an icky word so that you'll just go away.
Yeah. Well, this is a funny world, because we're coming to, many people coming to understand at the same time that things are out of kilter. So they may not agree with everything that you or I say, but more and more people, I think, are out of whack. And so people are, I think, more prone than you might to hear original thoughts or radical ideas about what's going on in the world. So I find that if you phrase things in a way that grabs people, that they will listen to a radical explanation of what's happening. Because
would you have any suggestions on that? Because one of the thrills that we get is that occasional notion that we were able to empower somebody listening or watching and give them some of the tricks of the trade just through the life experience of being able to successfully achieve that kind of framing so that somebody's able to eat the knowledge that you have to offer. Any kind of suggestions on what's been working for you? And you function at a much higher level than the rest of us.
So I wouldn't put it that way. But, I think that people understand that Mother Nature, that the planet Earth has limits, that we cannot plunder Earth indefinitely, and that that's been very good to us up until this time, and very bountiful, but there are limits to what the Earth can offer us, and we're about to reach the limits of what is available, and now it's up to us to start rebuilding, reconnecting our economy in a way that may be denial about how quickly we have to, but we have reached the limits of what the Earth can provide.
Yeah, it seems like a spaniel shaking off the fleas. It does. It has these borborygms. It has tornadoes and cyclones and water spouts, and it's constantly just flinging itself around and reacting to all of this stuff. Denial as we might be in, that we have anything to do with it. I mean, shit, we have landscaped the entire planet.
Yes, well, I think that many people, sort of intuitively grasp this. Farmers in particular, but people who are aware of the changes that are happening to the landscape know about this. I write about how mining is altering the landscape and oil production. These are not, global warming, the melting of the Arctic ice cap. All of this is part of that process.
Harrison, with you, we are talking to Michael Klare, author of nearly a dozen books on U.S. military policy, on peace and security, the global arms race. He's got a book coming out called The Race for What's
Left. It's out. Oh, the book is now in print.
Ah, even better. And it's available, I'm guessing, at Amazon and your favorite independent bookstore.
That's absolutely correct.
It's called The Race for What's Left. And you talk about the Strait of Hormuz becoming the most combustible spot on the planet, the most likely place to witness a major conflict between well-armed adversaries. Put that in perspective for Jennifer and Jason, who are 21 years old.
Okay, well, I'm happy to say that at this moment the risk has dropped just a wee bit, at least for the time being, because negotiations are underway in Istanbul between the U.S. and Europeans and the Russians and the Iranians. But what's at issue here is that the West claims that the Iranians are pursuing nuclear weapons, the ability to make nuclear weapons. The Iranians deny it, but the West is imposing economic sanctions on Iran, and the Iranians say this is a form of warfare against them, and to retaliate they will close the Strait of Hormuz, which is the mouthway of the Persian Gulf, through which about a third of the world's tradable oil goes every day. So if that were to happen, the price of oil would go through the roof, and we would have an instant world depression.
I love, Professor Klare, I love the notion of putting sanctions on the Iranians so they're not able to sell oil, which means revenue reduction for them. But then by simply closing a strait or reducing our ability to get the oil, the price of the oil goes up, and they end up making as much as they would have if they had to sell more oil. So they actually sell less product, make more money, and have more later to sell. That's
certainly a possible outcome of all of this craziness.
But it doesn't seem like it's here I am sitting in West Hollywood figuring that one out. It's not like Hillary and company. God, it never occurred to us. Huh? Right?
Yeah.
They must go through 1,000 permutations, or is it a big oops the way it's officially reported? Well, we didn't know.
Well, I think that in this case, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it doesn't mean that it would halt people from doing very dangerous and crazy things.
So what's the upside to dangerous and crazy? You had the soft targets, the collateral damage here. Soft targets, I love that. Sitting here squishily eating our candy bars and watching HBO, terrified. There's, we are truly quite powerless in a whole lot of material ways. Payoff for the deciders, the neocons, the whoever the hell they are, making dangerous, and on both sides, by the way. What's the payoff? Like, who actually walks away with the cash and prizes here? I think the Nixonian model of follow the money has got to be really quite clear.
Yeah, well, that would be very interesting to have all the details, wouldn't it? We're making a lot of money right now. East, west, north, and south. There's no question about it. The speculators are in on the act, too, because they figure that if there is a war with Iran, prices, so they're buying up oil now at the current price, speculating that it'll rise even higher, and that kind of tends to push prices up and up and up and up.
And then it would make sense to further agitate, because if you've got a horse race and you're betting that one horse breaks loose and goes nuts, it's in your best interest to help that horse break loose and go nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk for just a second about, and my train of thought just derailed over the tracks. Let me reintroduce you, and hopefully I will get back on track there. We're talking to Michael Klare Harrison with you. You are listening to GoHarrison. We are an adjunct to Progressive Radio Network. We're live video streaming right now. You could see it on GoHarrison.com, GoHarrison.com, where we also maintain a 24-hour video channel. We are right now, for the next few days, running 24 hours of a premiere Star Trek feature film. Runs 2 hours and 8 minutes. It's called Star Trek of Gods and Men, and it stars Nichelle Nichols as Lieutenant Uhura, Walter Koenig as Chekhov, and a bunch of other cast characters that you will recognize from a very different Star Trek iterations, all in there, directed by Tim Russ. You'll remember him as Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager, including a 40-minute an expert-gated interview with Tim Russ himself, who has a great many direct ideas about the state of the world as seen through the eyes of a Star Trek character. Very interesting, given that Gene Roddenberry, who started Star Trek, was a World War II bomber pilot who understood that his actions had created a response and some kind of blowback, and tried to create an outer space utopia back at a time when black people and white people were kissing on the bridge, and pointy-eared Jewish Vulcans and Scotsmen and commies, and oh my God, right? So you're really going to want to watch that. GoHarrison.com, a 24-hour stream. We're talking to Michael Klare. He's written a book called The Race for What's Left. And Michael, what's left and the race, who gets the money, who gets the goods and services, the betting of horse, the agitating of Iran. One of the things we're hearing is that Israel is ready to go and bomb the nuclear generators in Iran. If they were to do that using bunker busters, that fallout could very easily really affect about 2 million people, with wind blowing around in the desert, and they're nuclear weapons. Low yield, but we're talking about nuking nukes.
No, don't exaggerate, because that only makes things worse.
All right.
The Iranians do not have nuclear weapons. And
I wasn't saying. I was talking about. I meant to say Israelis. Excuse me. My screw up there. The Israelis bombing Iran's nuclear reactors, but using bunker busters, which are low-yield nuclear weapons. The fallout from that alone is going to hit a lot of people in the Middle East.
Oh, yeah, that would be awful. I don't think that's the worry. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. I think more likely that Israel would use conventional weapons on the Iranian enrichment facilities, centrifuges, and there's a danger there, too. Not as vast as the one you described, which would be horrific, but even so would be quite catastrophic. The most likely Israeli or U.S. attack using conventional weapons, even that would be horrific. So we have to do everything we can to prevent it.
What's the tipping point, Professor Klare, in the United States? Not that you can prognosticate with any kind of exactitude, but at what point do all of us go, okay, that's it? Like FDR in his second term, you're no longer making cars, you're making airplanes and tanks. World War II, you're now making, in Detroit, windmills. You got 20 million people looking for work. You got all these factories that do nothing in the Midwest. We want to match the unemployed people with the unmanned machinery, create windmills, solar cells, and save our ass. Or are the people in charge that you talk about in books, the people who really have fancy themselves to be they're the 1%, if you want to call it that. Do we have a chance to recapture this joint, or is it not in their interest to ever let us kind of do what we need to do to survive?
I would put it this way, and after this, I'm afraid I have to disappear. But let me put it this way.
To an undisclosed location, I hope?
Tomorrow is a teaching day,
okay.
It's later here. Let me put it this way. I think there will be a powerful struggle that takes place in this country between the forces of reaction, that is, want to preserve status quo of fossil fuel use, of coal, of oil, of nuclear power, and keep that going as long as possible. And those who favor a new economy based on renewables, wind and solar, and high-tech electronics and all of that. And, for now, the old economy is going to prevail. The old energy system is going to prevail because they're dominant in Washington and elsewhere. But eventually, the forces of nature, the forces of the planet are going to alter the balance between the two, and the green technologies will eventually prevail. But in between, there's going to be a very powerful struggle between them, and it'll be an ugly nasty and brutal.
Well, we certainly saw May 1st, pitchforks and peasants, certainly outside Wall Street, the same day, Monday, or Tuesday rather, May 1st, where the stock market hit a 4-year high when you sort of blend in all of it, while people are standing out in the streets yelling, "Burn the witch, burn the witch." So there does seem to be a serious disconnect between reality and surreality, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Well, talking with you. I hope we'll do it again someday.
We will. Thank you, Professor Klare, author
Sure.
of nearly a dozen books. His book is called The Race for What's Left, available at all your favorite bookstores, even your unfavorite bookstores that might be larger chains. When in doubt, head on out, buy it. He is on the board of the Arms Control Association, that website, armscontrol.org. And you, sir, are an official Harrison fundraiser, and we vote yes for you. All right, my friend, thanks so much. All righty. Done. Poof. And now Billy Foster comes right back into the shot. Bing! Like Endora.
Yeah. I miss that show.
I do too.
I wish they didn't screw it up at the movie.
Oh my God, how easy it would have been to do the movie right. I mean, really, how easy. You could have let, who played Endora? Wonderful face. She had moments of being nasty. She could have been great. The casting of Darren, a tragic mistake. No, it was Warren Beatty's sister, Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, okay.
Shirley MacLaine was Endora, but they didn't let her get really in like scary drag, you know, like Endora with the hair up, and they could have played that up. It's like whoever made the movie never saw the TV show, or made that weird decision that, well, it's for a different audience. The theme is great. They'll all get it. Nope, they don't get it.
Right.
And the fans say, "Fuck you" when you do that to us.
Right.
Just like that.
Yep. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
So I'm concerned about your upstream connectivity, because while you were doing the Spreecast, there was quite a bit of dropout. It smoothed out after a while, but there's still, I'm wondering.
Let me test it.
Well, I mean, just by talking, you're testing it.
Well, that's true, but I can give you a real number.
Oh, okay.
Because I'd be interested to know, because you're breaking up too all over the place. So is it just me, or is it both?
I'm thinking it's you, because I've done other Spreecasts. I've done like 5, 6 other Spreecasts, and I don't have this issue.
Okay. Down to 15 and 39 megabytes. So down is right.
Down.
1.65 megabytes.
Yeah, see, that should be good. I wonder what the deal is.
Yeah.
We need to get the Spreecast people to try and help maybe troubleshoot with you, because like I said, I've been on a lot of Spreecasts, and I rarely ever see a problem like this.
Well, I'm game.
At the beginning of something, but then after a while it smooths out, like it catches up, there's some buffering. But I don't know what the deal is. Okay. I'll try and see if I can get some of the Spreecast people to help us out.
You know, maybe they have a way to kind of test my signal and see if it spikes and drips, and I mean, if it's doing all of that, then I'd love to know about that.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is, well, you know, because it's never just you going direct to Spreecast. You're going through all these different hops to get to their servers, and I'm just wondering if maybe there's a bad thing in between, but I don't know how we would reroute you.
Yeah, I don't know either. I kind of notice it getting choked up and then opening up, and I'm Time Warner, so I'm, with DSL, it only did that maybe on a Friday night when everyone's online, but you kind of knew that. But it's
Well,
weird.
DSL shouldn't because it's not shared. Cable does because
No,
it's shared, but
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know. Maybe it's a Time Warner town, and there's no other competition.
burstable. Well, I thought that Time Warner was decent out there. That's why I'm concerned. I'm concerned about even relocating. It's because I see so many issues. I'm like, ugh.
Well, Time Warner absorbed Adelphia, and Adelphia was analog till, well, probably till about 4 years ago in digital. So I don't know if actually forced. About 4 years ago, Time Warner officially went digital around here. So I'm wondering if they're still forcing a lot of their shit through analog wires.
I don't know. What you said that even what's the top tier package that you get from them? Just curious as far as what they promise you.
Let me tell you. Time Warner Broad and Los Angeles.
Do you hear my system sounds? Just curious.
Yeah, you sound good.
No, do you hear my system sounds? Let me refresh this page. It does a little greeting. Do you hear greeting?
No, don't hear it.
Okay. I was just checking to see if it's pulling the system sound. It's not. Yay.
Okay, internet plans. Download speeds up to 50 megabytes a second. This is the ultimate internet. The lowest one is standard internet, which is down 10, up 2. Why am I paying? Oh, Jesus, they're all up 2 until even the Turbo Plus is up 2. And then it goes to up 5 at the ultimate internet.
Okay. Interesting.
That's crazy. 2, 2, 2, and 5. So even the shit one, like I should not be paying for the speed that I'm getting because I'm just paying for down and I don't use down.
You don't use it as much. You do use it, but you're not using it as much. What's key?
Yeah, it's like I could save $10, although $10, but it's the up matters. But the up.
But the down matters too, because if you don't have the down, because keep in mind you're getting a video feed from me, and then you're getting a video feed from the 2 other guests. So you are getting data in when we're streaming.
Yeah. So I guess, I'm paying like $49 for 15 up and 2 down.
But you're only getting 1 actually up.
Up was about 1.5. It's up to 2 megabytes a second. So I'm getting like 1.5.
But yeah, no, that's 1.5 should be fine. That should be plenty for you. That's why I'm wondering if maybe there's something between you and the Spreecast servers that's causing this weird stuff. Or your system. Have you ever tried going from the Mac Mini? Maybe. Do you have a camera hooked to it? Just out of shits and giggles, curious.
I can do that right now.
Okay.
Let me. I could stay logged. I think you can double log in on this. As a matter of fact.
You cannot double log in. That's why I had to create the Ask Harrison account.
Okay. Then let me log off and log back in on the Mac Mini, which is already fired up and running.
All right, cool. No, wait.
No, don't do that.
Don't wait? Okay.
You know what? I double log in.
Huh?
I've done it before.
Oh.
Maybe I can't. Thought I had.
You can always log in with another login, though.
Guess I need to build one, huh? Well, let me just
Or-
log out of this one. I got them both running. Let me log out of this one and jump on the other one.
Shows no camera. Oh, there, camera. Drag you over. There's the other angle. I don't know if I have any sound from you, though. Okay. Okay, dookie. Unpublished. Reason code. Unpublished. Still shows no camera. Hopefully the camera will be coming on here soon. Drag you back over. We had the video, but there was no audio. Hopefully now we get both. I see the camera showed up. There we go. Now I see video. Do not hear you, but I think I see lips moving. No. I hear my own audio. Oh, that's because I do this. That's right. Are you trying to use, can you just use the mic on the camera?
Okay. All righty. There we go. Okay. So let's see if it's still glitchy here. It looks kind of glitchy.
It doesn't appear to be glitchy here. Actually, the audio's been smooth, no artifacts or anything.
Well, you're glitchy a little bit. But I'm doing good, huh?
Yours is, yes. So far.
Yeah,
Can you
it
feed me
does.
like
There, now you just dropped out a bunch just then. Totally
Okay.
just dropped out a bunch. But I'm still smooth as butter.
Compared to before, yes. Can you give me like an audio bed or something that's consistent audio?
Sure.
Suspecté farouche, endolori. Jusque dans sa bouche, je l'ai blotti. Lente, langue, languie. Longue, c'est aussi douce de toute chose. Douce moment de doute jusqu'au sang.
How was that?
That played through fine. There was like no dropouts, so maybe I'm now I'm wondering if it's your system.
Well, the other one was the big iMac. Again, the big iMac is not an HD setup. The
Right.
cameras are HD. Maybe there's.
Yeah, but none of this is HD. None of none of the, as far as I know, none of the Spreecast stuff is actually HD. But it is still high quality. I just don't know what the resolution is. I should find out from them.
Well, I guess we could try it on the Mini Mac then. Next time.
Maybe we can give it a shot tomorrow just to see what we get.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I have to wrap up. I have a client I got to call, so I have to jet.
Okay, honey. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, bye. I may call you later tonight. I got to take this. I got to work on this project thing. I love how when you go to an interview, you now have to take a 4-hour test after your interview.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, you know, an 8-hour job wasn't enough. Now I got to take a 4-hour test. That's half of a job.
That's how we like it. Uncompensated, I hope.
Oh, of course.
Good.
All right, talk to you
Fred,
later.
all right, bye.